I'd like to welcome everyone to the council briefing on Monday, June 11th. We'll begin with a staff report from Deb Rowland.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Sioux Falls City Council. A couple of things to mention to you today. Item number 7 on your agenda for the 7 o'clock meeting tonight, there has been a request to withdraw by the applicant. That's the agreement that has been talked about, the TOMS agreement. And then also, as we are implementing the Granicus program, if you could remember to state your name before you make a motion in a second, such as Costello motion or seconded by Costello. Usually we do that, but just in case, just while we're trying to work out this program, that will help us implement it a little faster. There were 4 executive orders that were given by the administration. 3 had to do with risk management. Primarily those were a clarification, really, and some updates, I believe, by the risk management group. The other one had to do was from the mayor, and that's with the ComTrack, which is actually a complaint system that the city has, and it really is just a refining of the procedures involved with that. If you have any questions on that, though, I could pursue any answers for you and get back to you. And finally, actually, just to give you an update on Granicus. Granicus is a program that the council has purchased and put in your budget last year, and so it's been a process of implementing this program with IT, with the assistant city clerks, with webmasters, and with CityLink. And so there'll be a process of getting to know this new software, and then at some point in the next month or 2, we'll actually do a go-live meeting with the city council, and then they'll be web streamed. So anywhere in the U.S., anywhere you want to watch this, who don't have access to Channel 16, will now be able to watch it live, and the agenda will actually scroll right alongside the video. So if you're on agenda item number 25, you'll be able to click on that item, pull up the body of law, the legislation being reviewed by the council, and so it'll be a great tool to help with government transparency, or transparency in government. There's another big benefit. Actually, there's 2 benefits as to why the city council has purchased this. One is it's an increased efficiency for all of us in our workload, including the clerk's office, IT, and CityLink, and the webmasters program. So we'll be able to do things faster and more efficiently, which is a great savings for the taxpayers. But also, I think the real crux of it is this transparency in government. The people can actually clearly see what how the work of the city is being done, and that's such an important vision of the council, I know. So the 7 o'clock meeting tonight, there may be delays in your vote. If there is a delay, we'll ask you just to wait a minute while we're posting the agenda on the tape and working through the software program tonight. So just ask you for your patience. And I think that's about it. So
very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Munson's not here. Anything new from the audit committee, Kevin? No report. Okay. Fiscal committee?
We'll meet immediately following this meeting to finish up work on the derivative policy and also talk about CIP.
Okay, and land use, I know has a meeting scheduled at 5 also, but I think I'm the only one here, so we'll see what happens. Public services? Go ahead.
I'll just speak for our chairperson, Councilor Staggers, is that the Public Services Committee is still working really hard on reviewing the current campaign finance ordinance that the city uses. And we are going to be meeting again next Monday, June 18th at 3 p.m. here at the Carnegie. And we are continuing to encourage all citizens to give us input as soon as possible by appearing in person to testify before us, or email or phone calls or whatever. But we are looking for really the very best input from all of you, including the other councilors. So again, June 18th at 3 p.m.
Has there been any discussion about holding one at another time for people to
yes,
an evening meeting or something so that we can get some input from others?
Yes, thank you for that question. Yes, we clearly have had further discussion about that, and we are our committee, with no exceptions, is very willing to just work a little bit more on a draft, and then to have 1 or 2 or 2,000 public meetings for input in the evening. So we are very open to that, and we are planning to do that.
Very good. Thank you. council open discussion. Kevin?
Just a question, I guess, about the Granicus update. Since we haven't received any training, can we rest assured that there's nothing we can do to screw this up?
Actually, most of the software will be implemented with the assistant city clerks, and so this isn't a voting system.
Okay.
That could be a phase 2 for the council. This is really more about transparency in government and a more efficient way of getting our agenda done. Also, I had forgot to mention, pardon me, if there are any questions to tonight's Uptown agreement, that ordinance is before you for a first reading, Erica Beck is in the audience today to answer any questions that you may have regarding that item.
Go ahead, Kevin.
With regard to item 7 tonight, can someone explain what is the very latest? I mean, now it's, did I hear someone say withdrew? Can someone give me, or the council, an update on that?
Pat?
We met, Bob Litz and myself met with Mark Cotter and Mike Cooper and Gary and the TV group. I think there's still considerable discussions that need to take place on that project. But I think the discussion today headed that what's on the agenda for tonight is an ordinance, and the ordinance really relates to when we were considering debt, when we were talking about using future CIP dollars, and that now that that no longer is a consideration, that it probably should be in the form of a resolution. And so there was some talk, and Gary, please jump in anywhere you want, that of reworking this in a form of a pre-annexation agreement that will help TV solidify some of the terms that they need, and then but allow them to continue to move forward. And I think we'll see that, I would imagine, in a couple of weeks in the form of a resolution versus an ordinance.
Go ahead, Gary.
I think the thing that we found out today as we visited with the TV people was that they have some third-party agreements that they haven't worked out yet. And I wondered if the council wished to annex a property, which is, of course, what was before the council tonight, and then have the annexation agreement fail and have to then consider de-annexing the piece of property. It made more sense to do some sort of a preliminary agreement, allow them to get their third-party agreements in place, and then come back with an annexation resolution. And as Pat said, it was before you in ordinance form because, as originally contemplated, the agreement constituted debt on the part of the city because the city always annexes by resolution. Now that the debt component is gone, it would be more consistent to come before you as a resolution. So I think that was the reason for the request for withdrawal.
Okay. Anything else, Kevin? Go ahead.
And whoever can answer this, feel free to speak up. Infrastructure Review Advisory Board met on this last week and declined, I should say, to take any formal position on it, but they are very interested in coming up with a policy, and I believe we have a draft here. Is that something that we can expect the review board to bring to us soon?
Pat?
I think it was pretty clear from the meeting, and I've had subsequent conversations with people on the review board and then that show up on a regular basis, that policy probably will take months to work out at best. And I think I envision at some point in time when this resolution comes through, we will have to evaluate the merits of what they're offering without the benefit of having that policy, because that policy is just, according to the people that hash that out, they meet twice a month, every other week or something, and that's just not something that's going to happen in a short amount of time. I think I haven't heard, as far as the Infrastructure Review Board, I think it was probably unfair for us to ask them to review a particular development agreement from their peers. Many of those people are partners and they have business dealings going back and forth. And I think that's where they basically said that we're much more comfortable on a policy level, and to me, that makes sense, and I understand their concerns. I have not, just for the record, have not heard one member tell me that they don't think that this deal isn't going to be, or doesn't have a potential to be a good deal for the city. It's just that they don't want to be in a position to be passing judgment on it.
If we were to, if I could, Mr. Chairman, if we were to see this resolution, the TV annexation, before that policy is done, and it probably sounds like we're going to, would it be reasonable for us to look at their draft policies and judge that annexation by those policies?
Gary, can you?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I was gone last week, so I missed a lot of this discussion. So I don't know if I'm the best person to answer that question. Mike Cooper, do you want to try, or should we wait for Mark Cotter?
Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services. I believe that it's the staff intent to keep moving forward with this policy or this guideline, whatever we're going to end up calling it. And as Councilor Costello indicated, it's going to take some time probably to work through the details of that. The draft that we have, the proposed annexation meets most of those guidelines right now. There's a couple issues that we haven't worked out, which is what percentage of the annexation area can be served by gravity flow, and then what's the total acreage of the annexation. Those two numbers haven't been finalized yet. So I think for the most part, the proposal does meet these preliminary guidelines, and we're hopeful that we can work through that. I'm not sure, all the last minute discussion that took place today on the TV agreement, I'm not clear how soon, if at all, that they are going to come back with a resolution. The information that we got today, when it was confirmed that they want to withdraw it, there was no confirmation of what their next step is even going to be.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Thanks, Mike. I assume the staff drafted these set of questions?
Yes.
Well, I commend your staff for doing that. Some of these questions, if you have not read this draft yet, they're pretty thought-provoking, and I think they get to the heart of what it is this council is going to struggle with if we start doing annexations that are outside the growth area. For example, how will schools, libraries, fire stations, and parks address the unscheduled growth? How does the city plan out the CIP, not knowing where growth is going to occur versus having an established plan? Those are things that are very big concern for me, and I think we should all be interested in getting some feedback on and getting some benchmarks.
And that's our intent, is to accomplish that.
That'd be wonderful.
Yep.
SD?
Mike, I can't remember if I've asked this previously or not, but in the Midwest or in the entire country, would there be some other communities who have similar policies on the books right now so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel, so to speak?
And we've been in touch with those, and we will continue to get their examples to look at.
Yes, Kermit.
Yeah, I guess one concern that I've had through this whole issue is that I haven't really heard very much verbally from the TV people at all. I mean, well, they might be sitting in the audience sometimes, or we might get a email or something like that, or letter or whatever, but we haven't even been able to ask them any questions at all. And so, I mean, I think that's so important that we're able to ask these, people different kinds of questions, but we haven't been able to do that.
Pat?
I would just comment that Councilor Litz and myself have met with the TV people and the mayor and the staff a lot over the last couple of weeks. And, we get all kinds of documents from them, and they always say, if you have any questions, please call. So I'm sure they would welcome your phone calls on that. But this deal is evolving, and it's taking time. But I don't know that that's not the fault of the city, and it's not the fault of the applicant. It's just that, this is a fluid thing, and it's changing, and it's just taking some time to work out.
Well, we're stepping into new ground, and I think that's what the concern is, that we do it right when we do make this type of a step, so.
And that it shouldn't be rushed.
Well, once again, I think that all of us on the council should have this opportunity to ask them questions. And I would hope that in the future, when we have these kind of issues come forward, that all of us on the council are right here at certain times, and it's just so simple to have somebody, the applicants come and speak to us, and then also we can just very easily ask these questions.
Thank you. Yes, Vernon.
Just wanted to remind you of the legislative hosting that the Chamber's putting together this week. I'm going to put Bob on the spot. If you could just kind of give a highlight of what is happening. Bob O'Connell from the Chamber, he and his staff have worked very hard on inviting all 105 legislators, and I wanted to give him the opportunity to tell us what was going on.
Thank you. Bob O'Connell of the Chamber. On Thursday night, we're inviting people over to a kind of a pre-legislative event at the Sheridan when the legislators come to town, especially those out-of-towners. On Monday, Mike will be talking about what's going on in our town. We have about 25 legislators coming to town, which is great. We were hoping for more, but there's so many conflicts in the summertime. And then we're going to take some bus ride to SDN out to the Center for Technology Center. I couldn't think of it right away. And we're going to have a little coffee at the schools. And we're going to go out to Eros in the afternoon with the legislators. And I think that's really neat. And I'm looking forward to that because I've never really been there. And then we have a legislative hosting at night in which we're going to be at the Washington Pavilion on the stage, and I think that'll really be neat. And then on Saturday we've got some plans to talk about Lewis and Clark and to talk about diversity in our city. Pam Holman, Pam Bollinger are going to be speaking. And then the CVB is going to give them a big send-off, come to Sioux Falls and do your business here. And we think it's really going to be neat, and we really are lucky to have a number of businesses around town who are paying, SDN as one, and paying some money for us to be hosting. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer it. You're certainly all invited to the picnic on Friday afternoon at the park. We've got a tent just in case it rains. We're hoping for a nice sunshiny day. But that's so beautiful out there, and we think that will really impress the legislators.
Chamber of Commerce kind of day, right, Bob?
Pardon?
You're hoping for a Chamber
of Commerce kind of day, yeah. Weekend.
About the 25 people that you expect, are they, is that in addition to our local people, or are those our local representatives?
Local, too, yeah.
Local
But a number of the local people are going out to Rapid City because they're going to have some kind of a military event out there. And then some of the people are going to Puerto Rico. And, there's people are calling up, oh, this is a wonderful idea, but I've got a wedding, or I'm going fishing. I can't understand going fishing versus staying here, but that's me. So,
Any other questions for Bob? Thank you. Any other open discussion, council open discussion? Dee.
I would just like to continue to remind the world that there's going to be a great picnic at Falls Park on the 4th of July, so I just encourage people to put the date on their calendar. And it's going to run from 10 to 2, besides free food for the first 5,000 people. First 5,000 people, then there will be some games, and I've lined up some chess, and there's going to even be a blindfold chess exhibition. So you might want to sharpen your chess game before the 4th, and I hope that you'll all join this.
Anything else for open discussion? If not, no staff report, so we will be adjourned until 7 o'clock. We have a fiscal committee meeting at 5. I assume you'll start immediately following this.
Yes.
And land use will the same will apply.